intro. Well,
Love it.
Cut off very dramatically there. Best intro in the business.
Love it.
For Bill Krackomberger. You're a little hoarse. How you doing, man?
No, just I might still be on East Coast time.
Oh, okay.
But how you guys doing? Everything going good this week?
Nothing that I can think of happened around here, Bill.
Oh,
other than a little baseball incident.
He had a long shot Guardians bet that didn't get home.
Oh, yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
March and April.
Oh, I got
We're
you.
one out away from 65-1 hitting, and then
wow.
Then
they were really playing above their head there for a while.
You say that, but if you followed the reasoning for the handicap, you would be like, no, it's actually what they should.
No. That's 60.
Yeah.
I mean, they shouldn't.
Right.
Should they be that close to a 65-1?
No, it's a bad number, is what I'm saying. But we're one out away, Bill, and then we got our heart taken out of our bodies.
Was there any kind of hedge involved?
Yeah, there was a hedge the couple nights before. But but again, there's so many teams in the scrum that it's not an easy hedge until it got to the very end there.
I got you.
Yeah.
So you guys know I was back east. I'm sure you said about Howie, who's been on the
talked about
show.
Howie, yeah.
Yeah, and it was very unexpected for me. So you understand I was actually going to stay with the guy a couple nights later. And
our condolences again to you, Bill. My condolences for those who missed it. Bill is dear friends with Howie Schwab. Howie Schwab was most known for, literally, and we said this the other day, Bill, Thursday, exactly a week ago in your absence, that Stump the Schwab on ESPN was actually live on air for only 2 years, and then was so popular it was in reruns for a long time after that. But he was a dear friend of yours. You did the show from his house.
Yeah, that's right.
Many times.
Yeah.
We had him on one time, courtesy of you, and you let me speak with him on the phone after the show once, and he passed away.
Unexpectedly at 63.
Unexpectedly, yeah.
And it just, I know people are fans and people have heard this before. We don't mean to reiterate over and over, but after speaking to his wife a couple times now, and it got to me because only like literally no one that close to me has died since my mother passed away. I didn't realize I talked to the guy every single week.
Yeah. Every
week, I was the last person he tweeted to. 5 hours before he died. I mean. And it was unexpected, and he was in the hospital, but he had an infection that probably wasn't diagnosed properly. And Florida, the healthcare is just like Nevada; it's not that good. You have to stay on top of. His wife was very upset. I mean, she literally brought him dinner, and then 3 hours later he died, and he was fine. She said he was talking, he was coherent. We had conversations, and so it was very unexpected, like I said, and. My condolences to the fans, too. The fans get to meet, Howie Schwab was like sports Google before Google.
That's what Dan Patrick said about him.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
He really was. I mean, honestly, I would be hard-pressed to name anyone else that we've ever come across, either personally or just through the TV,
right,
who had more encyclopedic sports knowledge than he did.
Now, also, you want to talk about him as a human being and a person, how Bill Krackomberger met him. I met him through Teddy Atlas at one of his dinners, his foundation dinners, where he bought my auction. So I had an auction where I would give away a Vegas trip, 4 nights to a nice casino here, airfare, a show of their choice, whatever show they wanted, and then I would give them a nice meal at Joe's. And so he bought that meal for like $8,000. And he bought it a couple of years in a row. So I got to be really good friends with him. And he was very charitable. You look no further than Dick Vitale. He went to Dick's Gala every year in Sarasota. And he introduced me to Dick. I had Dick on my show, a Wisecracks podcast. And he gave away a lot of money. It's like, he gave away a lot of money people don't know about how charitable and how internally what a good guy he was. So, here, rest in peace, Howie Schwab. So he had his funeral back in New York. His mom is still alive. So his mom is like 90 years old.
Oh, man.
It really hurt her because she was very, very, she lives alone. She's perfect. I've spoken to her with Howie. His dad just passed away a year and a half ago. So, you're talking about a guy that wasn't, it makes you almost, I don't know, I don't want to say atheist or agnostic, but it definitely makes me more cynical. Like how a good guy, and every day he woke up trying to give, trying to help people, trying to help, different. He would go on air, he would do interviews with people, no problem, never turned down anything, and helping people, and always wanted to try. He used to always try to pay for dinners and lunches. I wouldn't let him, but he would. And every time I went down there, he said, "You're staying with me." I said, "Howie, I was always staying in a hotel." And he's like, no. If I find out you come down here and you're staying in a hotel, we're going to have a problem. No, he was... He
was in Aventura?
He lives at Aventura, overlooking Gulfstream Racetrack, a ridiculously beautiful high-rise there that he moved into. And, he enjoyed a lot of his life, too. 26 years at ESPN. If you guys don't mind, just in this last minute here, I'll even read. I went and found something, and I put it on Twitter. And, not that I'm trying to go after ESPN, but ESPN PR put a nice thing. Oh, we remember Howie Schwab and our great esteemed colleague. Give me a break, ESPN, I said. I said, he doesn't want to be remembered by you. And I tagged ESPN PR. This is Howie's words. 26 years at ESPN, I'm extremely disappointed to say farewell. I have been proud of my association and my work during my tenure. I was a loyal employee, displayed respect for others, worked with numerous charities, represented the company well. I always did everything asked of me and more. What did I get in return today? Word that I should get lost. The only thing that mattered was my salary, which in my view was the long reason I lost my job. So give me a break, ESPN. And people said, oh, Bill, aren't you worried about, ESPN? You shouldn't say anything bad because, you may have to try. I don't care. Thank God that I bet sports for a living. I don't have to worry about ESPN and their culture. Give me a break.
I hope Howie found much peace and contentment afterwards in his twilight years. May he rest in peace. Condolences to the family. I'm not sure if you're aware of this.
Loaded.
I say jokingly. Preston Johnson, I believe, right? Owner of Crawleytown. Make sure that Preston will be on later today. And Pablo Torre from the DK Network. What's the name of his podcast? Pablo Torre Finds Out.
Yeah. Excited to have him
on. It is a spectacular podcast, by the way.
Oh, it's awesome, yeah.
And I want to ask him, for how long has he had the notion, what I want to do is a podcast where I just investigate all kinds of stuff. Questions I want answered, that's all I'm doing. It's awesome.
I was talking to the producer yesterday. I know they're working on a Kentucky Derby type special that I cannot wait to hear him talk about because it's something that I would have loved to have been a part of, too.
We'll also have Chris Felica on talking Derby with us, and then Drew Dinsick from Churchill Downs, and you were just saying he has makeup being applied right now for his spot with NBC?
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing with one of my group chats. I think he's in the makeup chair right now for NBC.
Is it going okay?
It's going great. It sounds like it's going great.
This, by the way, Crack, we just got this tweet. Felica just sent this to us. And this is a tweet. We're talking about Howie Schwab, your buddy now.
Yep.
This is from Jason McCallum, who apparently is a producer with SVP, a senior producer with SVP. And he said when the Richmond Spiders made the 2012 Sweet 16, he said, I was ESPN's lead college basketball researcher. Howie talked to my bosses about my schedule and then used his miles to get me a flight and hotel to watch my alma mater, all without me knowing, until he told me I was going.
Jesus.
Legendary man and ESPNer RIP.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for that. I didn't know, and that's just
Jason McCallum.
An example of what I mean by Howie. That's exactly who he was and who he is. So this week on Wisecracks, John Orlando and I had a guest on. And, I'm tough on the horse race game. I'm pretty tough because I just know growing up, a little horse race degen like myself, living by Monmouth Park and running around between Aqueduct and the Meadowlands. And, I was a kid. I was 15 years old. My buddies, we were all cool, and we didn't realize the takeout and how hard it is to beat horses. And you just don't look at that stuff. You just look at what you're doing and, you're in the moment. So I actually don't know many people that make a living betting horses. I knew the Matisse brothers did because I have dealt with them in the past, and I've been thrown out of many spots betting what they tell me to bet. So I didn't know he would publicly come on my show, which he did last year. I asked him to come on again this year, Paul Matisse. He did That's out now. It'll be out later on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast.
Percentage of sports bettors that make a living exclusively betting sports with no other source of income versus percentage of horse bettors who make an income exclusively from betting horses without any other source of income. Who wins? What's the higher percentage?
Oh, sports. No, by far.
Define by far.
I know 2 people that make a living betting horses.
How many do you know in sports?
A dozen.
So it's not by that much, is it?
6 to 1
by far. Well, it is 6 to 1.
I was going to answer your original question with it's small and small. One's just smaller than the other.
And the 2 that make a living betting horses used to make a ton more, but that could be said for sports too. It's that tough betting sports.
Oh, for sure.
Too, but like horse race matchups. If that's part of their repertoire, that is a beatable event, and that means betting a horse against another horse to finish higher. It doesn't have to win; just has to beat that horse.
And what's interesting is that when we have horse racing guests, that is not their go-to often. It doesn't seem like.
No, it's not. You're correct. And now we just got a text again from Chris, which I didn't even know he knew these guys. And he actually mentioned the brother's name, who I actually know. I know both of them. Duke's the one that got me thrown out, by the way.
Duke
Chris. Yeah. So, these guys are winners. I had Paul on my show yesterday. He lives up in Saratoga.
Are you betting the Derby?
I wasn't going until I had him on my show.
And now? So
there's a bet now you can make. By the way, I heard your guest earlier say they couldn't bet Triple Crown or something. I don't know where he's not looking. He must not be looking behind us because they have the bet.
Yeah, I don't think he said that, did he?
I thought he said he couldn't find Fierceness to win the Triple Crown. I thought he said that on the show.
I
could be wrong.
I missed it.
But better yet, there's here he's plus 10.5 to 1 here to win the Triple Crown. So you could bet the horse.
Fierceness.
To bet. He thinks the horse is that good, even though he ran 2 bad races. He thinks that the horse is that good. That would be a good bet. He said, because you make a bet on that, and then you can actually he's going to be a big favorite in the Preakness and the Belmont.
Yeah.
So, but he also gave me a long shot that he likes just to win the race. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know the odds. Maybe Chris can help us here with the odds. There's a horse called Catching Freedom.
Yep.
Are we even allowed to bet that in this time of life? Freedom. Catching Freedom, though, is the horse that he said that has a good shot there too. So there's a couple.
See
what's he about 8 to 1?
8 to 1.
I'm seeing north of 10 to 1.
Oh, 10 to 1. Okay, good. Yeah, 10 to 1. So you can and by the way, some of these pools you could bet them now and have that line for race day. Like, in other words, you bet it now and you actually get that the odds there in case the odds are reflected in the racetrack where it goes down. You still can lock up an odds today. So I wasn't even planning really to watch the race, but I am not that I shouldn't say that. I enjoyed it when I was younger. I just know it's so tough to beat. But when it comes to value, just like Paul said, there is value in these type of races compared to betting daily, which he actually made some comments to me that I really liked. Like, the pari-mutuel system is really broken. Fixing the odds in the last minute and calculating the odds, the ability to bet last and get tote information. Now, what I'm talking about here, it's really deep, but let's just be blunt. This is like inside information that the tracks are giving to certain horse racing syndicate groups. So they're giving them the tote information. They're giving them the ability to bet last second, and I mean last second when the bell rings. He said that these type of computer groups are out there, are winning and ruining it for guys that have made their living, like the Alan Boston of horse racing, doing the work by hand.
Right.
These type of groups, syndicates, are ruining it for those type of guys that grind it out. I think of a guy like.
Wait, explain that though. How do they get it at the last minute?
Listen, it's legal too.
Yeah.
They've made deals with the pari-mutuel system. They made deals with the racetracks and have the ability to get the real tote information. This way, they don't have to know anything about the race. They can just
get
know
the best of it at the end.
They just know the best of it.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I'm glad you cleared that up. That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, so I would think this would be illegal. That's like inside information.
Instinctively, it would sound.
It sounds that way, but according to Paul, it's not, and it's going on, and it hurts guys like him. Even though he's a horse owner, he owns about 10 horses.
What is the racetrack's incentive to do that?
I don't know. I said it on the show to him yesterday. I said, listen, why would the racetrack do that unless someone on the inside's in with them?
Right.
That's what my brain just works that way.
Mine too.
And probably really didn't have an answer, for that. So
interesting.
I have a more basic question. Is the tote just the handle on each horse, basically?
Well, yeah, I guess that shows you each the win pool, how much of the percentage of the win pool that horse is in. But to get the real one, when human instinct, human nature is to bet last. Even here, look at every Sunday in NFL Sportsbook. People get shut out every week all across town. Same thing with the horses. They like to bet last second, last minute. So if you had something that was really true odds of the last second, true tote board of the last second, if you're one of these mathematical genius guys and could put that into your calculation in a matter of seconds and say, hey, this is the value of the 2-horse. You don't have to even know who the 2-horse is.
Right.
It could be the horses don't have to have a name. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to have a name. No back history on the horse. No, there's nothing to do with the racing form. And supposedly that's going on in the industry. And now. There. Elite Turf Club, totally in bed.
I don't know if you're supposed to read that or not. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know. We'll have to ask.
All right, we'll have to ask that. You're right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry.
We're getting live.
Yeah, I think that everything that's texted me I can read out loud.
No.
Anyway, that just goes to show you that stuff is going on. So stuff's going on in the horse race game. Already, the poor public that comes in with his buddies trying to beat a 20% takeout now has to deal with these syndicates and these inside information things that are going on. And I just thought it was, listen, watch, if you guys want more information about this, watch this podcast. More importantly, watch the last podcast I had with him about a year and a half ago where he really spilled the beans on this kind of thing. You could just Google Paul Matties, Matties, on YouTube and his show with me. So I just thought it was really good that he kind of revealed this and just what's going on in the horse race game.
Not Henri Matisse, not Matisse Tybal.
Right. Paul
Correct.
Matisse.
But Duke Matisse and
Paul.
And Paul Matisse. Okay. We're going to get, we don't take callers on the show, but you had a great suggestion. Off air, would you like to share?
Well, like one of my favorite things of coming to work at VSiN was that we don't take calls like a sports talk show where we've worked in the past, and that can be great sometimes. Sometimes it can be a little bothersome. You gotta vet the calls and everything like that. So I love that, but we might need like a Chris Felica, Will Hill just hotline because like the text messaging during just call.
Yeah, crack like say, oh, they're in bed with. Hey, stop it. Phil Weiss. Was Fornatel's father, Pete Fornatel, legendary WNEW and WPLJ 1970s disc jockey? Phil, I think so.
Wow, I used to listen to those stations. Wow.
I think so.
PLJ 95. It was 95.5, I believe.
Oh, this is a great one. Tim Johnson, he's great. He said, I laugh every time these NBA broadcasts mention the 79% win rate for Game 5 winners. Isn't it a coin flip at 75% rate under the same conditions? Yes, it is. Mike Alvarez. I was offline yesterday, and I remember when this show would hit on 100-1 College World Series futures. Now we can't even cash a simple 65-1 futures ticket? You suck, Alexander. The groundskeeper from Major League is right. They are still a bad team also. He didn't say those words.
What a loser. Ben Wilson's on next Friday. Maybe he could give some college World Series advice.
He can help us out, for God's sake. Sorry about that. This is, by the way, Iga wins, and my man Brian Schaefer cashes his bet, -6.5. She wins 6-1, 6-3.
There we go.
There's the fly. Bobby Geddes. I think I have said the word Guardians more times in the last week than I've said the word Indians in the last 30 years. If this was a movie, it would be called Guardians of the Tragedy, the things betting does to us. Oh, Jack Larkin from Sports Trade saying they've officially launched in Iowa.
Nice. Congratulations.
Iowa. There you go. Alec Carlisle. Thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. Almost never happens. Really? People don't pronounce Alec Carlisle correctly? Forrest Lehman. Pablo Torre rocks. Great get tomorrow. Can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it.
Teddy Reck. Listening to Bill and Gill talk about the Schwab on VSiN has me tearing up just a bit.
That's nice of him. I just actually sent him a DM and said thank you.
Matt F. I believe Peter said he didn't see any horse winning the Triple Crown this year, not that he couldn't find odds. And this is interesting. Okay, Vegas Vice wants to add some clarification. I think this is a good tweet. Here he goes. The track incentive to allow the computer groups to put bets in last is that they bet large amounts and the track keeps a percentage of the handle. Hence, the track incentive is to generate increased handle. It will eventually kill horse racing for everyday players.
Wow.
How about that?
That's interesting. So in other words, he's saying it's a good thing?
No, he's not saying for the collective.
For them.
For the collective, he's saying it's a bad thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say, does he believe in like mermaids and unicorns?
No. He was very clear.
Yes, he was good. No, he was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, they do. They get, I guess on the win bets, I'll use for a low 15%. Well, I think it's higher than that, actually. But maybe New York. New York might be 14. But so they get a percent. So if someone's betting $10,000, they're getting $1,500 for giving them the right to do that. But I just don't quite fully understand why they would do it, because what they're doing, like just like Vegas Vice said, it hurts Joe Public in the end.
They're cannibalizing their own sport.
Right. That's good words.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
It hurts the Joe Public guys. But another thing, guys, that I wanted to talk about in Vegas here. So there's a big thing going on with Resorts World, and they got rid of their president or whatever it may be. But you know what? Let me talk about the other side of this. It's the KYC law that's the casinos are supposed to follow. Know your customer. So a casino host, a vice president of player development, vice president of marketing, all the way up to the top of every casino in town. Do you think they hate this law? They hate that they have to find out where the customer's money comes from?
Backtrack a second.
Sure.
So explain what you're referring to here. What happened?
Well, it's just, I'm talking about the law itself, the KYC law. Know your customer in general. For any big high rollers that come in, they want you to know where the customer's money comes in if they're losing over 10 grand, in general. And if they give them a credit line, if they issue you a credit line, if they let you gamble big.
But
well,
what I was getting
at Resorts World,
you're referring to the Otani situation.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Otani. Or at Resorts World, they got rid of the president there.
Yeah.
And he pleaded guilty. He's going to be sentenced in May for knowing about where these bookmakers' monies come from. Multiple.
The bookmaker in question was laundering money through Resorts World.
That's what they say.
Allegedly.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Allegedly.
Listen, I'll just tell you this.
Such a good word. Allegedly.
If
didn't Rome used to do that? He would say something like, allegedly.
Hey, it is. It is. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
If casino executives had to turn down anyone that's gambling in their casinos due to previous nefarious activity, the casinos would probably close. They wouldn't be able to stay in business. That's how much people come in. Atlantic City was built on mob money.
What you are suggesting, Bill Krackomberger, is that these types of people may have...
I'm not looking at bookmakers in general.
No, I'm saying in general, people who gamble a lot of money may have sketchy background sometimes.
Listen, like I said, Atlantic City was built on mob guys coming down and dumping bagfuls of money on the crap table.
I'm being sarcastic.
No, I know.
Yeah.
That's how it was built. I mean, look at the show American Greed. All right,
American Greed.
American Greed. It's a great show. Look how the percentage of those shows have some type of gambling in the background where people were stealing money to gamble, whether it be the stock market, buying, Bitcoin, of course, horse racing, casino gambling. So look at the money. In the end, the casinos get the money. And guess what? They don't have to give it back. So give me a break with this, KYC, and we have to instruct this. Every casino in town wouldn't be able to last if you couldn't take people's money that were making money, doing something in their lifetime that was nefarious. I'll use that word. Anyway,
I love American Greed.
Yeah, me too.
Kelley,
who's the voice of that guy? Who's
Stacy Keach.
Stacy Keach. Where'd you come up with that?
Because
Is that in front of you?
No, because why do I love that show more than anything?
Stacy Keach.
It's fun working with him every day.
How did he get that?
Because there's nothing. Because I checked on this when I became fat. Because Deborah Song, fashion stylist, she loves these true crime shows. So she's watching American Greed, and all I kept hearing was American Greed. When American Greed comes back, Kelley Bydlon thought he could get away with the crime.
That's the way he does it.
But he couldn't. Right?
I never knew.
The whole time.
I never knew how sick.
I'm going to have to watch this now.
Listen, I never knew how sick he was.
Yes.
He just came up with the voice.
No, it's exactly. It's a Stacy Keach. So the whole time I'm like, who is the voiceover guy? So I Googled it back then.
But he was a big actor in his day,
too, right? He was a big actor. Yeah, Stacy Keach.
What was he, like 80 years old. I mean,
he's got to be 1,000.
A B actor, but he's in a lot of things, though.
He's got to be 1,000 years old.
But if you watch, American Greed is very good.
American Greed.
But the gambling industry, it profits a lot from those American Greed episodes. What happened with people stealing money? What do they think about it? What are you stealing money for? What are you being greedy for? To obtain items and materialistic things? Gambling is usually involved in that. So, and then you have the people that gamble that steal money just to gamble because they're degens. And I get it. I mean, I see these stories and I'm like, wow. But, I just wanted to talk about this KYC law and how they're saying, well, you have to know. Do you think a casino host wants to go up to a guy that's stuck $6,000 and say, oh, by the way, Mr. Jones, where does your money come from? I'm stuck $6,000. Well, let me get out of here. Get away from me. It's
and yet if it's in their interest, they are very often able to use compliance laws or whatever definition they want to actually
compliance departments are funny. Yeah. They're really funny. They don't anyone that works in compliance for a casino, they should make sure they gambled in their life. Then they get the job in compliance. Give me a break.
When American Greed continues,
right?
Kelley Bydlon gets his comeuppance.
Right. That sounds just like it, though. It sounds.
I know this guy now you're talking about. He's only 82 years old. Okay, come on.
Wow.
Best listeners in the game. Love you all. Roger Jones. Guys, what Crack heard from the Matisse brothers is 100% correct. The tracks let these computer groups bet last because they pour tons of money through the window. You didn't want to say Elite Turf Club, but didn't. Check news on them. It was more that there was a name associated with it that I stopped Crack from saying. Let's see. Michael Burns, Computer Advanced Wagering, CAWs. That's what they're called.
Oh, wow. Thank you, guys.
Are horrible for the game. Tracks have part ownership of these groups. They have part ownership of these groups. He goes, I bet for 40 years. I'm out. They're just stealing money in broad daylight.
That's exactly what we just said last segment, that this is more, he's more telling you. But did he also say that the tracks have a piece of it?
That's what he said. That's what he wrote.
Come on. Oh, my God.
The Silent Mike D. Oh, Silent Mike D, this is completely correct. He goes, this race group discounting is very much like front running in the stock market or pay for order flow, which is legal and why we have no commission trades. Read any of those Michael Lewis stock market books like Liar's Poker.
Right.
It is just, it will make your head explode. You read, by the way, written beautifully, of course, by Michael Lewis. Mike Rouse, can you do American Greed in Ernie Johnson's voice or your mother or father's voice? American Greed from our Atlanta studios.
Jesus.
The Ernie one's still the winner. That's the winner.
What's that?
The Ernie one's the best. That's still your best.
Ernest Johnson.
Ernest Johnson.
Ever just break into a recap of a game with that? Roger Jones, yes, you are correct. Peter Fornatel's father was a famous DJ in New York. I thought so. Oh, Spence. Stacy Keach is Mike Hammer. Great old CBS show.
Oh, okay, there you go.
That's right. It was Mike Hammer. And then Auburnist would be curious about how these horse racing syndicates are formed. Thanks.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
I want in. Is that what you mean? I want in, too. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, there's some good explanations there, some great tweets there, finding out, because I'm learning stuff. I'm not really, I don't bet horses now, so to hear how there's this inside thing overcoming a 20% edge, and them getting this information, now the tracks are involved. I mean, let me be blunt. This has to be on the gray line of illegal, nefarious. I mean, this has to be on that line.
Of course.
Jesus. Well, it's good to know that our buddy Chris Felica is part of this.
Don't say it that way.
Sorry.
Maybe we could have phrased that differently.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Bentley Roberts, absolute gold from Gill for all of us American Greed fans. Degens.
That was great.
He goes, laughed out loud as I am too familiar with the true crime loving girlfriend scenario. You've never had a, this is great, his last line, you've never had a real nightmare until you've woken up to the ID channel playing at 3:30.
Oh, man. Jesus.
I have been there, Bentley Roberts. That's awesome. That's so great.
Now that I'm seeing Stacey Keach, you just need it needs to be deeper. It's lower.
Yeah, he's got 30 years on me, so I got to get there.
Sure.
Sorry.
Guys, we got just before
Counting down. Okay, 30. Got it.
So I guess it's a big fight this weekend here.
Yes, we had Al Bernstein on earlier.
Yeah, you had Al Bernstein on.
Are you going to the fight? Do you like going to fights?
No, because I'm actually going out of town. I'm going to a graduation.
Would you go if you had a ticket?
I probably not. No.
Are you done?
I'm a
betting?
big boxing. Listen, the fight last weekend was great. I watched it. I was so excited and watching this fight.
He got nailed for PEDs, but
yeah, I know he did. I know he did.
Yeah.
And it just seems like, and I laugh at myself. When Floyd retired, it was probably over for me going to fights and stuff. Now, why would I even go to his fights? Because they were so boring, a lot of them. Defensive, shoulder roll. But it was just a different time for boxing. And then, of course, back when we were growing up, and Gill, you remember the great times in the 80s with Hagler, Leonard, Duran, and that was
Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, Hearns. Leonard Hearns won the greatest fight of all time.
Yes.
No, but you're right. Floyd was a great businessman.
Just a businessman.
His matches.
He had me always thinking something.
His bouts were so boring.
Yeah.
So boring because he's a great defender, right?
Yes.
So
that was my boxing. Yeah. And I got to learn about defending and scoring points and stuff like that, and not sweet 80s knockouts by heavyweights.
Well, it's why those of us who saw those fighters in the 80s, I'll just speak for myself. Those guys would have destroyed him.
That's what we think. Oh,
that's what we think.
He never would have even allowed them to fight him. He never would have taken that.
He would have waited for Sugar Ray to get to 38 years old.
Like he waited for Manny or
He took forever for that fight.
With Canelo, he would have fought Hearns when Hearns was 21 or something.
He fought Canelo early in Canelo's career,
Yeah.
Not that I think Canelo would have won anyway, but but
that's what he did. Canelo early, Pacquiao late. That was his thing.
So last night I went to all these guys from the boxing game because I grew up a big boxing fan. These guys were in town. Steve Pratt, Mark Abrams, and I met another guy that worked for Al Heyman, which I thought and he came to dinner. There was a bunch of us who went to the Italian American Club last night. These guys all come from out of town. They're excited to go to the Italian American Club. Kenneth Borre, he works for Al Heyman. So went to dinner last night at the Italian American Club. Great meal. Good to see these guys and hear they're about my age, and to hear them all talk about the boxing game now. They're excited for it now because they make money with it now. Of course, they're involved with promotions and the media.
When I was a kid, Al Heyman used to promote concerts in D.C.
Last night I found out that. I said, what? He
Yeah.
said, Al Heyman is a multi-millionaire from concerts.
When I was a kid, I used to listen to R&B radio stations. It was like an Alan Heyman production. And then he became this massive boxing guy. I don't know how he made that transition.
I never knew till last night how big of a musical influence. He had Michael Jackson on the road. So he's a multi-millionaire. I think he's from Cleveland. And, he made all this money in the industry. I didn't know it till last night. So hearing that, I love, boxing historian kind of stuff and things like that. So it was really cool, nice dinner, and again, one of the most reasonable places in town. I was just telling him, I said, I can't. We could have went to a different restaurant, one of the ones I like, but this was the one that really, it's old school mom and pop. We all went. I know I always put them on a map, but
here's what I want to know about. Yeah, you should just have a cut there.
Really, I should get a cut of the profits here.
Are you though? Have you gotten to the point with boxing? Because I mean, we've all. I shouldn't say we've all been there, but I have certainly. I'll make fun of myself. I have vowed to never bet boxing again, not on one occasion, Bill.
I fully understand.
But on multiple occasions. Yeah. And one of them was a Triple G Canelo fight where I was
there.
I was there too.
Yeah.
I was convinced Triple G won, and I think that was the draw, the one that I went to. And I was like, I'm not doing this ever again. And if I do it again, someone just slap me in the neck.
What'd
you say?
The draw.
No, I think it was that was the first one, I believe.
Was it the first one?
I think it was.
Oh, then I went to the one where they gave it to Canelo, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the first one.
It was upsetting going to those fights, and people took the side of Canelo and said, no. You know what it is? Like I always say in sports, I bet on Canelo. You bet on Triple G. We watch it from our side, and that's it. So we don't even realize we we should have won. Like they each one of us.
Yeah, but there's that, right? There's that.
Right.
I mean, the biggest example of that was going back to 1987 was Leonard Hagler, right?
Right.
Where Sugar Ray essentially stole rounds at the end.
Yes.
And
with those fast
with
punches.
Those, with
oh
those
my God.
Flurries,
Yes.
Never really hurt Hagler, but scored.
Right.
And I watched it closed circuit at the Boston Garden.
Wow, closed circuit.
Where Hagler was from Brockton, Mass. So it was a completely pro-Hagler fight.
Oh my God! Everyone there.
They thought he was killing Ray. And I got my buddies at the Cap Center saying, "Oh no, Ray killed him."
Wow,
right?
see what I mean?
So that's it. That's all it is.
What were you doing up there in Boston?
I was at school.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I told my school, "Don't send me anything ever again."
Oh, yeah.
Because of what's going on there.
Right.
So I said, but it's beyond that, right? In boxing, your handicap ought to, is this true or false? That your handicap, your primary handicap, ought not to be breaking down the fighters, but rather the business interest of which fighter ought to advance with a win.
That's perfect.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's what Teddy always says, Teddy Atlas.
Yeah.
Well,
Teddy says it, then it's got to be true.
Incompetence, corruption.
Yes.
There's the judges we've had.
If DAZN has a 10-fight contract with you, kind of
Canelo
leaps to mind. Yes, exactly.
No, I mean,
yeah.
You're exactly right. And you said something at the beginning of this that I'm going to stick with. I really can't bet on boxing. I just can't bet on boxing
that's
now.
What I'm saying.
It's just you look at so many things over the years how bad the judging has been. I remember, like, off the top of my head, Timothy Bradley. They said he beat Pacquiao. Like, that was terrible. There was so many different things that I've seen, and you shake your head and you say, "Wow, I'm laying 5-1 on this fight." So there's no way you can't do it. I agree with you, Gill.
Bill, great to see you. It's always better when you're around.
Great to see you guys.
Always
Thank you,
better
guys.
when you're here in person.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it. Great to see you. Sorry about your friend.
That's so nice of you to start on it and end on that note.
Yeah, my
Beautiful.
condolences. All of our condolences.